Convention ng ating.
So out of all of these 8 treaties, ilan ang compliant tayo?
In terms of legislation, Your Honor, naipasa naman po yung mga karamihan ng mga legislations na kailangan upang
Yung
makatugon.
yung implementation.
Sa implementation, yun po yung ating minomonitor. And we are observing, we are monitoring how the government is performing. We gather reports from different sectors. The optional protocol.
Yeah, hindi pa natin i-implement. So ilan dito sa
Kailangan po nun magpasa ng batas.
Okay. So ilan ang dito sa 8, ilan ang compliant tayo?
Compliant po in terms of legislation, halos lahat po yan.
In terms of
In terms of implementation, dun po
wala tayong compliant? Hindi tayo compliant?
Hindi po natin masabing hindi compliant or compliant, but we are
Kulang-kulang, in other words.
may mga ganun.
So mas maganda, Chairman, to make a checklist.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you can furnish us here in the Senate that checklist and see how we can help the CHR to pass laws or help in the implementation of those laws.
Yes, Your Honor.
If it's a funding issue or if it's, let's say, kasi marami dyan ibang agencies hindi
Yes,
naman
sure.
sa inyo, diba? So if there are items that we can flag the other agencies or support the other agencies so that we can be compliant, then pwede natin gawin yun. No?
Yes, Your Honor, we will do that. Ang isa siguro kailangan ding ma-emphasize na because of the changes in the times, of course, changes in leadership, nagkakaroon po ng shift do sa policies as well as priorities. Kung in relation to the treaty obligations, ang ating pong bansa ay signatory to the second optional protocol on the covenant on the civil political rights. Yun po ay yung nagbabawal ng imposition of death penalty. Kaya lang as we observe, may mga moves for the imposition of death penalty.
Meron ba nag-file ngayon?
Hindi ko po
Parang alam ko wala yata.
In the past Congress po meron.
Full
Katulad po ng
disclosure, nung una
Yes.
nag-file ako, no? But,
yes, Your Honor.
full disclosure, but I didn't file it na after a few congresses.
So katulad po yung mga ganitong bagay, kapag merong attempt to reimpose, so syempre pinupuna po ng komisyon yan because we are obliged under this treaty that we sign to comply. So since we agreed not to impose death penalty, dapat hindi natin ini-impose under the treaty of.
But that's only one, di ba?
That's
Marami.
only one, yes.
Marami. So may checklist.
I can see provide additional examples, Your Honor. I think alam niyo po yun, yung previous years yung recommendations under the Convention on the Elimination against discrimination against women, yung sa CEDAW recommendations. Marami hong mga recommendations doon na medyo controversial. But we have to deal with it because we are signatory to this treaty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner.
Chair at saka Mr. Chair, Mr. Senator, gusto ko rin pong ibigay na example yung atin pong treaty obligation on the rights of persons with disabilities. So mayroon na rin po tayong counterpart na batas. Pero makikita po natin na sa implementation na challenge po talaga ang ating bayan. So halimbawa, lahat po ba ng government office ngayon, kung hihilingin natin na gumawa ng self-compliance audit, papasa po ba? Ito po bang gusali na to ay papasa pagdating sa rights ng persons with disabilities? Sa atin po bang talakayan ngayong umaga, nagkaroon po ba tayo ng interpreter para sa mga deaf community? Tapos, tignan na rin po natin yung kuminsan yung mga angka na ginagawa ng mga establishments, private or government. Maglalagay sila ng rampa pero alam natin hindi po talaga safe or feasible for ramps, ganun. So, yan po mga example na meron na pong tayong treaty obligation, meron na rin po tayong local legislation, pero sa implementation po, nahihirapan po tayo. Pwedeng sa limitado ang resources, pwede rin out of ignorance po. Katulad nga nung sabi ko sa inyo, gagawa sila ng ramp, pero hindi po talaga feasible na gamitin. So, yan po yung mga example ng reality in how to trickle down our treaty obligations and make it more understandable to people in implementing it. Yun po. Thank you.
Best way is for a self-assessment. Kasi meron naman tayong CHR. And like you said, the situation is improving. The dynamics also of the cases is changing. So, but we need to sustain it by self-assessing, no, government itself. Kung tayo ba ay nagiging compliant to our treaty obligations, yung mga, even yung mga ganyan na mga implementation ng mga projects so that we can fulfill our obligations. I think kailangan may mga ganyan self-assessment rin eh. So that para nag-improve tayo, no? Meron tayong nakikitang improvement in the at least dito sa gobyerno natin, no? Sa
Yes,
government natin. Yeah. And I understand you also have an institute in Human Rights Institute.
Human Rights Institute, yeah.
And that's included in the budget. Is that part of the promotions?
It's part of the program of the promotions
The
office.
promotions office. And I saw here na meron kayong mga ino-offer na courses
Yes, yeah.
sa mga human rights 101, right to health, right to mental health, and then specialized courses. But these are not embedded in, let's say, in college, doon sa mga curriculum. These are your initiatives, no?
Yes, Your Honor. Ay, buti, Your Honor, nabanggit niyo yung course embedded sa mga courses because under the ano yung batas natin? RA Republic Act 10366 10368 or the law creating the Human Rights Victims Memorial Commission. Kasama po kasi sana sa obligasyon ng ating departamento na isama sa curriculum yung human rights part of the curriculum. Ganon din po sa ating anti-torture law. May mandato po ang batas na isama sa curriculum yung human rights education.
But hindi yan nagagawa ngayon.
Hindi pa po siya nagagawa. We are trying to
Is that under the law ng ano?
sa law po na that created the Memorial Commission as well as
Okay.
the anti-torture law.
Okay, yeah, because nakita ko very very basic naman to, no? Human Rights 101, right to health,
Yes.
no?
Yes,
It's I think these are very general topics on human rights.
yes, sure.
Hindi naman siya it's not to a specific specific
Yeah.
person or specific administration. It's really general knowledge.
General knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, bakit nga ho, Sir ED, hindi napapasok to?
Sir, I'll just give an anecdote. When I hire people, I ask them, of the 30 articles in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, how many human rights do you know?
Mm-mm.
And of that, the answers are, the average number they know is only about 6.
Mm.
So I said, if you don't know the others, I'll take those rights.
Hmm.
And that's the my bellwether of what people say na hindi namin alam anong aming karapatang pantao. And that should actually be taught in grade school, in high school, in college, that these are your rights: right to livelihood, right to life, and the different other rights. It's not embedded in the DepEd nor in the CHED. And that's why the CHR also has its Human Rights Institute, but this is outside our formal public state educational institutions. For the Memorial Commission, the added instruction is these rights were actually violated in the 1972 to 1986 martial law period. And by reminding our people of the violations that occurred during this era, it has created what we now sometimes experience a culture of impunity, even among our state forces implementing peace and order or even combat operations, and sometimes against our unarmed civilians and citizenry. So this is the special feature of the Memorial Commission in embedding also the period of the martial law. In several Senate deliberations in the past, the question was, why do our teachers, uh, why are they familiar with, let us say, what happened in the Katipunan 100 years ago, but are unable to actually draw up experiences from recent current events like martial law of the last 40 years?
Memorial Commission, um, yung based on our reports, yung Freedom Memorial Museum, hindi pa ho nag-umpisa.
The
Is that the Freedom Memorial Museum, is that the anchor project of the Memorial Commission?
Yes, sir.
Mm-mm. And how come it's not yet it hasn't started yet? And then I understand there's already funds for the Memorial Museum.
You're correct, sir, that the property where the Freedom Memorial Museum will be built will be on 1.4 hectares provided by the University of the Philippines along its Diliman campus. And in that area where they had designated the use of that property for the next 50 years, they had several UP buildings called the UP Community Maintenance Offices.
Mm.
In order to clear the area, the university committed that by September 30 of this year, they will vacate the premises and move to the relocation site that we had built in 2022, which is a relocation site for those who will be displaced when the Freedom Memorial Museum starts construction. It is now already October 15, and they have not fully vacated and provided full possession to the Memorial Commission of the property.
Yeah, any particular reason how come they donated, they gave the property via use of RAC, but they haven't vacated the property. Is there any reason for that?
The university has their own reasons, but their commitments to us was that they would vacate it, and if there's several offices still in the area, they would move them in other locations within the Diliman campus so that we can freely enter and have full possession and start already the bidding procedure for the Freedom Memorial Museum construction.
How much is the museum?
The last Board of Trustees passed an ABC of something in the range of 555 million.
That's the total amount na, including
That's the-
everything.
That was passed several years ago. That number needs to be updated
Okay.
with the current prices because that was estimated during the pandemic period, sir.
Okay. And I understand the funds have been fully allocated already.
The funds are in our trust fund,
The
and
500 million.
they're 597 million as of the moment, sir.
Okay. And then it's the Memorial Commission who will build the museum, or it will be delegated to, let's say, DPWH.
The manner by which we had conducted is a open bidding, and in the past there was a winner
Okay. So
But-
meron ng winner.
in the past, sir, but it was awarded. They were given mobilization funds, but UP at that point in time did not want simultaneous building and relocation, and the contractor who won after 10 months presented that it could not fulfill its obligations because of the universities not leaving the property, and we moved for a termination of the contract, termination of convenience.
Okay. So when was this? When was the contract awarded?
that was awarded 2022.